Imagine opening your sports app and reading NBA draft pick set to debut in college basketball. You blink, refresh the page, and think, no way, this has to be against the rules. But it happened, and the reason is so surreal it feels like a movie plot twist. The name at the center of it all is James Nnaji. His name was called on draft night, his rights got moved in trades, and then, out of nowhere, he shows up in the NCAA, ready to play as a student athlete. And here's the hook. This story isn't about going back. It's about a loophole that exposed a massive crack in the system. Normally, just being drafted feels like it stamps the end of your college eligibility. So how can someone be owned by an NBA franchise and at the same time wear a university jersey? Today we're going through 3 stages. 1. The mystery. 2. The hidden loophole. 3. The earthquake this could trigger. Stay until the end, because the twist is insane, and it might open a path that a lot of players will try to copy. And before you think this is fake, multiple reports have treated it as a real and rare case. The secret isn't the draft itself, it's a piece of paper that was not signed. In a second, I'll show you which one. Let's untangle the chaos. Najee was selected in the 2023 draft with the 31st pick. The Detroit Pistons called his name, but the story didn't stop there. Like what often happens on draft night, his rights became a trade asset and ended up moving through other teams until they reached the New York Knicks. In other words, on paper, he's a drafted player, with an NBA team holding his rights and able to decide when and if they bring him to the league. But here's where the confusion lives. A lot of people think drafted regar NBA player. It's not that simple. He didn't play an official regular season NBA game, didn't show up in a real NBA box score, and didn't enter that full rookie contract cycle of travel, roster spot, and rotation minutes. He followed the draft and stash route, playing outside the US, and even appeared in Summer League, which is a showcase and a testing ground, not the official season. Then comes the headline that breaks your brain. He enrolls at Baylor and is cleared to play in the NCAA immediately. So the big question comes back even louder. What defines someone as a pro? Getting drafted or signing the contract that makes it real? Yep, that's the whole point. Here's the technical detail that flipped everything. Being drafted is not the same as having a standard NBA contract. The draft gives a team the exclusive right to negotiate with you, the famous draft rights. Translation, the team holds your spot in line for the NBA. But that's not a job yet. A job means a formal relationship, contract, salary, and official registration as a professional player in the league. And according to what's been reported, Najee never signed that standard NBA contract. No contract means no NBA salary and no official regular season participation. Even playing in Summer League doesn't change that. It's an evaluation event, not a guaranteed deal. Result? Under a more surgical interpretation of what the NCAA considers professional status, he didn't cross the line that usually kills eligibility. It sounds like a tiny detail, but it's the heart of the loophole. The system recorded drafted, but it did not record NBA professional. And when rules are written in separate boxes with separate definitions, you can slip through a crack. Najee found that crack and walked through it in style, and now everyone wants to know exactly where that door was left open. And no, it's not a meme. Now think about the domino effect. If that door stayed open for one player, it could stay open for many. For the athlete, it's tempting. You already carry the draft stamp, you get attention, you gain respect, and you still play on national TV in college with top-tier facilities and, today, NIL money. For the university, it's a luxury upgrade that raises the team's level, the locker room culture, and even recruiting. And for the NBA, it could become a new development model. The franchise keeps the player's rights, tracks him closely, without spending a roster spot, without burning a contract too early, and still gets to watch him face strong competition every week. Sounds great, until you think about the politics. Because this messes with the NCAA's historic argument about amateurism. The line is already blurry with the transfer portal, NIL, and athletes with international experience. If ex-draft players start flooding college hoops, compliance offices will panic, and the pressure to change the rules will explode. The draft stops being the end of the road and becomes just another step in the journey. And when the journey changes, everyone has to adapt or get left behind. And the next chapter could start tomorrow. Now for the reveal, it wasn't magic, it was chess. Najee was drafted and had his rights traded, something totally real and common in the NBA. But the key point is that he never activated true NBA player status because he never signed the league's standard contract. No contract, no salary, no official regular season game. He stayed in a gray zone, a limbo between selected and professional. Then he makes the master move. He enters a university and, under a specific reading of the rules, returns as a student athlete with eligibility to play. Look at the sequence. 1. Drafted. 2. Rights traded. 3. No NBA contract signed. 4. Enrolled in college. 5. Cleared to step on the court. It's a storyline that sounds impossible, but it works precisely because each step answers to a different rulebook. This exposes a glaring flaw. The draft and NCAA eligibility don't line up perfectly. One document says, "You were selected." The other asks, "Did you sign and get paid as a pro?" If the answer is no, that's it. That's the loophole. And when a loophole appears, the entire sport starts shaking. Crazy, right? And now comes the question everyone will ask. Will this become a trend? Imagine prospects, especially international ones, using a draft plus NCAA plan as strategy. Get selected, keep your rights tied to a franchise, and still gain minutes, spotlight, and narrative in college. For the NBA, it might look like cheap development. For the NCAA, it could become a crisis, college athlete or pro on airplane mode. And there's more. If this becomes routine, the rules will change. They always do. The question is, who moves first? The NCAA closing the loophole, or the NBA leaning into it and turning it into a common strategy? If you want to keep up with how this case could impact future draft classes and NCAA rules, hit like to support the channel. Subscribe because I'll bring updates, reactions, and possible rule changes. Now drop a comment. Do you think the NCAA closes this loophole fast, or will the NBA start using it as an official strategy? And send this to that friend who always says, "This would never happen." It happened, and it might be just the beginning.